Alright guys, this level that you're gonna see coming up is what I like to call a level that I really wish they hadn't put into the game. Now my reason for saying that is because, all you do in this level is try to hitch a ride on a boat. So the guy who is the boat captain, he gives you a few tasks before you can set out. But other than that, you're just walking around this village fucking shit up like always. So, it's really one of those parts where it could have just been a cutscene. You just walk up to the boat captain and he says, "Oh, hey, you need a ride? Well, give me some money and we'll be okay." And then Haven's like, "Sure, I'll give you some money." Then you give him some money, and next thing you know, you're on the boat. So, why do we need this whole nonsense? Why do we need all this nonsense about finding feathers and crap? It's so pointless. But I'm gonna try to make it as entertaining as possible. I don't have any exciting Donkey Konga stories to tell, so that might be a bit of a struggle this time. Do I have any other fun stories to tell? I don't know. I just wish I was doing a Let's Play of a better game right now. Well, that's not entirely true. I like playing bad. Well, this game's not necessarily bad, but I like playing games that aren't, the greatest. I have always said this. I will say it once, I will say it again. Bad things can be good. Good things can be good. Mediocre things, no, they are not good. Maybe that requires a little bit of explanation. You see, what is it when we're watching a movie like The Room? When you're watching Troll 2 or a movie like The Room, what is it that you can watch this and understand that it is so horribly bad, and yet you get entertainment out of it? It's because we've seen so many movies, and we've read so much fiction, blah blah blah, over our years, that we have become accustomed to what we as a culture find objectively good and objectively bad. We know all of the tropes of storytelling at this point. So when we watch something like The Room, or when we watch something like Troll 2, and they go against all the tropes that we know to be good, when we're able to identify them as something that just does not objectively work, then we find it intriguing. However, when we're watching something that is mediocre, something that is just so incredibly average, it's like, why? Why am I doing this? What's the point? You're not gaining anything out of it because you can see what they're going for. You can see that they're using all of the tropes that should work, but don't. And that's why I will always love bad movies, love bad video games, even Bubsy 3D. Maybe I should do a Let's Play of that, however painful it might be. Because, you can just see how little they tried. And, sometimes it's more entertaining to see how hard some people try and yet fail at it. Sometimes that's what's really charming about watching a bad thing. But also when they just don't try whatsoever, but then they think that it's gonna be great. Like, Bubsy was supposed to rival Super Mario 64. They came out at the same time. Look at some screenshots of Bubsy 3D, and then look at some screenshots of Super Mario 64. Now, I'm not a graphic stickler. I think that, people hyping up graphics so much is kind of depressing because, some of the best games I've ever played were in the 16-bit, 8-bit, 64-bit generations. I feel like the majority of the excellent games that I've played were from the previous generations when they didn't have the technology that we do now. What was I saying again? Oh yeah. No, wait, what was I saying? Something about graphics. Right, Bubsy. You can just see, like... Now, obviously, Bubsy had the inferior graphics, but it's also just a matter of how they look aesthetically to the eye. Bubsy is just nasty-looking neon polygons with horrible perspective. I mean, you can't see what is going on sometimes. In fact, most of the time. When you're trying to jump on something, it's a pain in the ass. Whereas Super Mario 64, they've had an art style, they stuck with it. And they are commended for that. I commend you, Super Mario 64. I don't know what I can say about this game's visuals. Because, I mean, sometimes they're fairly impressive, and then other times they're just kind of uninspired. Like, I mean, this village, it's kind of pretty. I guess the biggest flaw when it comes to visuals is just level design in this game. I mean, you can have the prettiest landscape on Earth, but if your level's not designed well, then it kind of falls flat anyways. Pretty much, like... What's an example of a game with just phenomenal level design? Probably, like... I know it's not, like, an action platformer like this, but I think that Grim Fandango really has superb level design. If you have not played that game, it is definitely worth your time. It's an adventure game, so, I mean, maybe it isn't worth your time if you don't like adventure games that much, but, if you really like adventure games, then they don't generally get better than that.
Lover. Me name be Ahab. Ahab a banana.
Oh, God!
To Sleepless Island.
Ahab a banana?
What say ya?
Really?
Old hairy sea dog, eh? I'd be off to the Isle of Heroes, but me ship's got more barnacles than a slowpoke buckle. If ye could charge her up, lower the sails and release the tethers, I'd be more than willing to give you a lift over. Should you need one, of course.
At this point, I remember being so pissed at the fact that his name was Ahab a Banana that I tried to beat the crap out of him with my yo-yo. However, every time I tried to do so, it accidentally initiated the conversation with him again, which only made things worse. But his name is Ahab a Banana. I think you can sympathize with the fact that I wanted to destroy everything about him. Anyway, the problem that this game has with level design is just that, I don't know, it's so inconsistent, is what I feel like it is. Just the inconsistency between, you know, the levels that just never end because they're just linear, but they just keep going in one direction, and they just don't stop going in that one direction. You have those levels, and then you have levels like this, where you're supposed to move around and do tasks. Now again, it sort of reminds me of the Hobbit video game, which I never thought that I was going to be able to contextualize as a superior example of a video game doing something well. But the Hobbit video game really did everything this game is trying to do much better. which is a shame because this game definitely had a lot of potential. It's a damn shame. I mean, just look at how tedious this is. I'm literally having to run back and forth between the energy pot and this place to charge up all of these little pylons. I mean, that just is a waste of time on the player's part and the developer. It's just padding for length in a game that really doesn't need to be long. But I'll talk more about game length at a later date. Because I have a lot to say about that. Alright, well, as soon as I charge up this last piston, I'm pretty sure that's the end of the level. Finally, because god, this level is boring and pointless as everything. See, did that really need to happen? Those 11 minutes of my life and your life, was that necessary? Well, we get a pretty tune out of it, I guess, but still not worth it. Alright, well, let's wrap things up with A Have a Banana, and I'll see you next time, guys.
Let's climb aboard.